Our postcard today is from a place that is always in the international news. You've heard about it, you've seen it, but you've probably never ever been here. But today we can give you an exclusive look at The Hague. The bells of The Hague I can hear. Where's that coming from, Marianne?
It's coming from the big church called Jacob Church, built in the 14th century.
Now we're on a part of the city. It's quite busy, lots of cars, a big thoroughfare, lots of people walking on a beautiful morning. And this is one of the most important places, not just in Holland, the Netherlands, Europe, but the whole world, isn't it, this city?
Yes, for the International Peace Palace, you mean, probably. Yes, that's what we have here in The Hague. But behind us are the parliament buildings.
A lot of people don't understand why there seems to be two capitals of the Netherlands. There's Amsterdam and here, where we are in The Hague.
Well, The Hague has been seat of government for more than 400 years. And Amsterdam has been the capital of the Netherlands since the time of Napoleon. So since the beginning of the 19th century. And he made Amsterdam capital of the Netherlands. But the government has always been here in The Hague.
Now tell us about these beautiful buildings, the turrets, the elegance of the Mauritshuis. Tell us about these buildings.
The big roof behind you, that's the Knights Hall, which is built in the 13th century. It's surrounded by the buildings of the first and the second chamber. This here is the first chamber, and at the end you see a little tower built in the 14th century, and that's the office of our Prime Minister.
So he has just that little building there?
He only has that little building, and it's the building to the right, that's part of his ministry.
Now there's a very classical looking building next to the Parliament House. Is it part of the same complex?
No, it's built in the 17th century as a palace for one of the counts of Nassau. And it has been a museum since about 1820. In fact, it has a 17th century collection and it has the most Rembrandts.
Ah,
yes.
In there. It's called the
Mauritshuis, yeah.
Now The Hague, what's its origins? How far does it go back?
It goes back to the 13th century. In that time, the Counts of Holland had a house built on top of a dune. This was a dune landscape, sandy beach, sandy hills, and on top of one of the hills the Count of Holland had a house built, and that's what you see over there, the little towers.
Oh right.
That's a small castle, yes, a small castle, a hunting castle, and next to this small castle the Count had this big hall built.
I'm in the inner courtyard of the Dutch Houses of Parliament. Over there is like the, well, House of Lords, I suppose you'd call it. And over here, you've got like their House of Commons, although there's a more modern building behind it now. And behind me is the Knights Hall, and that's when royalty, in this case the Queen of the Netherlands, comes every year to read out what her government is going to do. And further behind that is the original castle that was built by the Count of Holland on some old sand dunes, which really was the beginnings of The Hague. So, shall we go and have a look at that? So how did it grow then after the Count built his castle here?
Well, of course, when you have a castle, always people settle down in the neighborhood of a castle. So there was a church built a bit further down, and around the church tradespeople settled down, had their little shops. And this neighborhood here was all for the well-to-do people important for the court.
Beautiful houses.
Beautiful
They're like
houses,
brownstone houses that you see in New York.
Is that so?
Yes, they're
Oh.
very, very similar to this. They're very stunning. And so the power seemed to gravitate then towards The Hague.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
Now, why do they call it The Hague? I've heard that the name is a corruption or a shortened version of a bigger name.
Yeah, the official name is Des Gravenhage. this was an area in the 13th century with a lot of trees. And when the Count had his house built on top of a dune, it was sort of surrounded by the trees. A sort of hedge, you call it a hedge, of
Yes.
trees around the castle. Well, if you take the word des Graven Hague, it means Graaf, Count, and Hague means hedge, so the hedge of the Count.
Oh, so
That's-
the hedge
that's-
around
yeah,
the Count's
yeah,
castle.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Got it. It's so
Yes.
simple. I love place names. When did the place then take on the Parliament buildings? When did they actually come to here?
Like you see now, that's about in the 16th century, when William of Orange, and that's not the William of Orange you know, that's his great-grandfather, when he became a sort of governor over Holland.
Now, what about any wars or problems in this area? Did Napoleon come here?
That's right.
Was there
yes.
the Spanish?
The Spanish, yes. The
Tell us
Spanish
a little
were-
bit about that.
The Spanish were here in the 16th century for about 80 years. And in that time, William of Orange, the first one, he became a stadtholder, sort of governor. Then we had the French at the beginning of the 19th century, and of course, the 20th century, the Germans.
So when we go around this city, what are the kind of things that would attract people to The Hague? Why would I want to come here and spend time here?
In the first place, because The Hague has a lot of culture. We have the Parliament buildings, we have beautiful museums, and The Hague has 2 seaside resorts.
Really?
Yes, we're so close to the North Sea. I mean, in 10 minutes we're at the beach.
And other things that would attract people here who were perhaps looking for anything like good food? You have special foods here or cuisines?
Yes, we have many restaurants. The Hague is famous for the Indonesian kitchen because after Indonesia got its independence in 1945, many Indonesian people came to Holland, became Dutch, and came here to work for the government. And of course, that's here in The Hague. And that's why The Hague is famous for its Indonesian kitchen.
Well, we're assembled here for a bit of an Indonesian feast. I actually forgot that when you come to the Netherlands, they had a great empire and they travelled around the world. I mean, you mustn't forget that places such as New York was New Amsterdam before it became New York. And I'm sorry, I've got a bit of a sort of a toothy thing here. See these? It's an old plant, a root of a plant that's been bashed up. And it gets stuck in your teeth, but it's ever so tasty. Sort of a bittery taste to it, bit of a bittery, fibrous taste, but very crispy. Anyway, back to the Dutch Empire. So, of course, the Dutch explored the 7 seas like the British did, the Portuguese, etc. One of the great nations, great colonial nations. And Indonesia was one of their territories. And this is, of course, as we have in Britain, one of the relics of their colonies. In Britain, this food is very similar to Malay or Singaporean. It's not like Thai. There are satays here. There's chicken, there's spicy rice, goreng. There's plenty of shrimps, prawns. There is here the most interesting, which we certainly wouldn't have, goat satay. See, don't get much goat. Curried goat, of course, is great within the Caribbean population of Britain. But all along here you have different tastes, vegetarian meals, lots of beans, tofu, bean curd, even mussels, and a sort of a cabbagey thing. Now, I don't know about you, but I get very excited by international cuisine, and I'm very excited about eating this. So, if you wouldn't mind going away now, my friends, my new friends from Holland and I can get stuck in. So, bye-bye.